Okay.
Hi,
Good.
Roy.
Hi, Karen. So great to see you. I think the actual only time we met in person was in Colbert in Sloane Square
Yeah,
at a
yes,
table.
yeah. About
And
9 years ago now.
yeah, introduced by Ali.
Yes.
And it was a fascinating conversation. The more I heard about your situation, and I still remember today the words you used was that, you wanted to do something for Tony while it was still fresh in your mind.
Yes.
But I think was it about 2 years after he'd passed?
So no, when I think when we met, it must have been about a year after he passed, and I could already start sensing that memory. Um, it's a very that it's things were starting to slip, and for me to be able to remember things, I'd have to replay them in my mind,
Yeah.
and I didn't want his memory to start fading. And because he had passed away without my children ever getting the chance to meet him, I was always worried. And I was always thinking, how am I ever going to describe this man to him,
Yeah.
to them? And when I was talking with Ali, I was telling him it's really hard because I have a version of Tony as his spouse. But then his friends have a version of Tony. His mom has a version of Tony, everybody. And he is the combination of all of those. And that's when he said, maybe you should meet Roy. He's doing this great project with the LifeBook. And that's when we met. So it must have been around a year after. 2 years
Okay.
maybe to get the project done. A year
Before
or
we
two.
started, yeah, and got
Yeah.
going. Because one of the things you said to me is you wanted the memories to be the memories of his friends and family.
Yes.
Boys, when they grew up, would be able to interrogate, be able to talk to, and know
Yeah.
not just much about how much you loved him, but also why.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just start a little bit with the background story of Tony and how you met, and just
So we met in 2009, and it was a whirlwind from the moment I met him. He lived in Nigeria, I lived in Paris, and it was a very romantic story in the sense that it went very fast, very all over the world. And he was a very exciting man, full of life, full of laughter. And we got married in 2011. And
very
in
quickly.
20,
Within two
yeah,
years.
very quickly. We were at ages where it was fine to get married quickly. We were not young. And unfortunately, by 2015, November 2015, he passed away very suddenly.
Yeah.
There was no preparation. He wasn't sick. He was in one of the best physical forms of his life, and collapsed at the gym and passed away. I was pregnant with my second son at
Yeah.
the time. My first son was 13 months old. So it was a very traumatic time of our life. And it's hard to put into words what the feeling is when you lose someone like that. It's like falling into an abyss and of darkness, and then trying to have to recapture the taste for life. But I think having the two babies was instrumental, and having a great network of friends. And when that happened, I started looking at my boys and thinking, how are they ever going to understand who their father was? How am I going to explain him who he is? And that's when the idea of the life book came about. It was a beautiful project to do. You asked me once, when am I planning to give it to my children? And I think now they're reaching, my eldest is turning 11 and my youngest is turning 10. So I was actually thinking, they know about the book,
Mhm.
they've seen it. And I think for Christmas this year, I will give it to them to start reading because they can understand the content inside of it.
You always intended, you said to me they were going to be put in a safe until they were 10.
Yeah,
So you're kind of there now, aren't you?
yeah, yeah, it flies.
Yeah.
So they are, so I think right now is the time where they're getting ready for it. And they ask a lot about their father, and we talk a lot about him. And I'm still friends with all of his friends. So they constantly, he's always in the background of us.
We often do book signing for our normal memoirs, and the reveal, as we call it, when somebody gets their books printed, and sometimes we put it under a Hermes scarf and pull it off, and they see their books. But I can't imagine the reveal to your boys of
Yeah.
what is on my pride of place here, unforgettable. Um,
Yeah.
I can't imagine their faces because it's like there's been nothing except for verbal and
Yep.
things around the house. I know we
Yeah.
talked about his bomber jacket and things like that,
And
but
I love that the cover of that book and his signature in the
yeah,
corner. I mean, for me, it means so much every time I see the book.
and it
And
has the signature on
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
it was one of the best decisions I took after Tony passed away was to do that book and to do it while things were still fresh in everyone's
yeah.
mind. Because sometimes when I go back and read through the book, I find myself going, "Oh my God, I forgot. Yeah, that happened." Memory is such a fickle thing, and it's so nice to have had the opportunity to capture moments that were important and that made it into writing, and that would never have happened if we hadn't met.
So I read it over the weekend from cover to cover, which I hadn't ever done. I
Yeah,
dug in and out of it. It's one of the all of these books are private and just for the families here, but it's one of the little side benefits we have. And I'm dyslexic, so it's not easy to read a whole book. So, but I did, and some of the things, first of all, the consistency in stories and how people viewed Tony and the lives they lived with him, and consistently the message from all these different people in his life of what a good person he was. And it's not all good things, they say, because he sounded like a bit of a maverick.
yeah, he was.
Um, it made me want to wish I'd been had the pleasure of meeting him. But from his family, from his friends, you're getting this color of his story. And I also saw you said you didn't fall in love with him, you walked into love with him,
Yeah, yeah,
because that was the journey for you.
yeah,
One of the things I marked here because for me it's very special. This text he sent you the day after he met you,
yeah,
and when you hadn't come back to the club for New Year's
yes.
Day. And for someone who didn't know you yet, this is 1st of Jan 2010.
Yeah,
I was hoping to see you, but you've both disappeared. Please call me, his phone number, or add me to your BlackBerry pin.
yeah.
For those who
Good old days.
have to explain what a BlackBerry is to your boys, I would love to see you before you go. Kisses. That was it.
Yeah.
Wave, Tony. And I mean, it's just kind of a tiny vignette of the way that he
But I've lost that today. I don't have that SMS today anymore. So
wow.
if we hadn't done that book and it wasn't
Yeah.
captured in there, that's one of the things in the multiple moves, changing of phones,
Sure.
changing of computers, that would have disappeared. And it's so invaluable that it's still there. Because for me in 20 and in 30 years, when I'm going to look at it,
Yeah.
it will make me smile so much. So I I think the life book for anybody who's going through these horrible or traumatic events, it's a very hard, it's a difficult introspection and journey into memory
Yeah.
lane, but it's so rewarding at the end of it, whether it's for you personally or for your children or the extended family. It's like having the luxury of having a home video of the person you love that you can go back to,
Yeah.
um, and smile, because eventually you will smile when you look at it, and you will, be able to laugh and remember in a fond way and not with the pain associated.
I think you catch yourself smiling. You're reading. I found that, I was reading it
Yeah,
but there's a lot of trauma and a lot of sadness, and some of the crazy things he did, but they make you smile.
yeah,
And one of the things people say about a book as opposed to a video, or you talked about losing the SMS message there, is with a book, this is printed on archive paper. This will last 400 years. And if the cover gets a bit tatty, you can soak it off and you can put a new cover on in 50 years' time. Your boys' grandchildren can
Yeah,
actually get to read it. And you can turn a page and you go to that point and reread the bit that you want.
yeah,
We have a lady, Shimmy, and she often talks about her mother. She lost her husband, and how her mother tells her, go to page 136 and read the second paragraph to me. And she knows the book backwards, but it's the ability to pinpoint and go to a certain element.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And I also think one of the interesting aspects, which you pointed out to me, was that all these relationships, these 26 relationships that the boys, um, that were Tony's friends and family, but they can now go back and get and talk to them with the beginning of a story, the story
Yeah,
that's in here, the chapter, but they can ask so much more,
yeah,
from these people, and they will still have the contact there.
yeah. And I think it's going to be instrumental for them the more they grow. The part of the difficulty in our situation was I didn't want my children to grow up saying we didn't have a father.
Mm.
They very much had a father and lost him. And I wanted to try and make them understand that the person they lost was a great, great
Yeah.
person and wanted them so dearly, and that they carry. And today, 10 years on, I look at my boys and I see so much of him in them, um, even though they've never really met him.
Yeah.
Especially the second one never saw him. He died before he was born. Um,
Just a few days before he was born, wasn't it?
about 40 days before he
Yeah.
died. Yeah. Um,
But he was looking
so
forward to it so much from,
so much. Yeah. And even I don't know if we put in the book, I think so. The last words he wrote the day he died was my two boys. It was part of a YPO forum. He
yeah.
was at his YPO forum, and his forum was nice enough to give me that paper where you had to write.
Oh, right.
um, and one of
Write
the
a
last
letter to
things he
someone.
write,
Yeah.
what are you looking forward to? What, sort of what's the agenda of the day? And the last thing he wrote was, in what he was looking forward to was my two boys, my legacy.
Yeah.
And that evening he died.
Wow.
So,
The
and I
legacy
think we
is
have it in
everything.
the USB on the drive. I
Yeah.
have that.
So you got the USB.
Yes, with the
Yeah,
book. That's in Lebanon too. Yeah.
great. And if ever you need anything else from that, we can always do that. And
Yeah.
one day maybe, the boys will want to give a copy to their children, and
Yeah.
we can always print another copy because they're handmade,
Okay.
so it's not a.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Wonder if I can ask a special favor, and
Sure.
if you could read out the epilogue that you wrote in here. I read it, and it just says everything about why you did it and what it means to the boys. Would you mind?
No, of course not.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring it here. I keep thinking about this book and what it will mean to my boys one day. I think the first thing I need to explain is why this tribute book to their father and what I hope they will get out of it. Alexander, Anthony, you both never really got a chance to even meet your father. He died when he was so young, and so were you. But I need you to always remember this. Not to know is very different from not to have. You had an incredible father, not just to me, but to most people who got to know him and love him. My hope is that through this book, you might be able to get a glimpse of everything you lost and didn't get a chance to know. I always felt that if you heard stories or memories of your father only through me, that it would feel fake or overrated. I want you to read about him through his family and friends and hopefully grasp how truly blessed you were to have a father like him, even if you didn't get to know him. Unforgettable. That's what he is to me and to most people whose path he crossed. You carry his genes and a part of who he was in both of you. I hope this book will help you feel closer to the man you never got to call daddy, but who loved you immensely and who wanted you more than you will ever know. Tony was very multifaceted, incredibly hard to describe because so difficult to pin down. I think the first thing you should know is how infectious his smile and laughter was. He would bring joy, banter, and fun everywhere he went. And I was never happier than when I was by his side. He was a strong man, strong in his confidence in who he was, strong in his values, and in his love of family and friends, strong in his faith, strong in his determination to lead. He was an incredible leader who was both feared and loved. His intelligence and personality won people over. The best part about him was that he was incredibly humble, and he never took credit for anything he ever did, always shared the limelight, and never took it from anyone. He was fair always, and maybe that was his greatest strength. He made everyone feel safe by his side. I never knew fear when I was with him because I knew whatever situation life brought our way, however difficult, however trapped, he would always find a way. He was resourceful and a brilliant thinker. His brain was overactive. He was a brilliant researcher, and he loved to know everything about everything. He could make links and connections faster than I have ever seen anyone do. From the most futile information, he could draw huge conclusions. Information and his ability to store it was key to him. He never stopped. He was insatiable, but he wasn't greedy. He was an extremely conservative businessman who never took uncalculated risks. He didn't believe more was better. He was very content with what he had. He wanted to preserve this business for you too, so one day his lifetime of work would be his legacy to you. Your father loved cigars and was a real art collector. We fell in love strolling through the streets of Paris, going through art galleries, eating exquisite food and laughing. Your father was loving and caring beyond words. Your father was generous, sensitive, and affectionate. Your father was kind to everyone, big or small, rich or poor. Your father was a great man, unique in many ways, as you are. Your father wasn't perfect. He was perfect for me and with me. He would have been an incredible role model to you both as to how a man treats his wife with tremendous love, care, patience, and a sense of humor. I wish you had met him, grown up with him, and became the man he only got to dream of under his protective wing. Instead, you get to read about him and carry inside of you fragments of who he was. I want you always to remember that in life we don't choose the cards we are dealt, but we choose how we react to them and how we carry them through. We didn't choose to lose a husband, a son, or a father, but we can choose to carry it with a smile on our face, proud and strong, and to embrace life not as a tragedy, but with all the laughter and grace he would have wanted us to bear. I want you both to be proud that your father was this unforgettable force of nature and that you are truly blessed to be his legacy. We both love you, and I hope this book will bring you a step closer to understanding what it means to be the sons of Tony Atrib.
Wow. You're so brave to read that out and to be able to do that. And that picture, you and the boys at the end of it there is lovely. I can't imagine what they look like now.
They're big boys.
Just because of love that you're talking about there. That black and white picture is fabulous, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there are so many great pictures in here. And I also love the fact that you've separated each chapter with some art that you collected together and why you did. I thought that's lovely.
You know, you don't know how life is going to take them, where it's going to take them. And I don't know if and I kept thinking, I want them to know that behind a lot of the things they're looking at, there is a story. And it's impossible to tell, when the right time is going to come for you to say, oh, well, that painting.
Yeah.
And with the life book, I know it's there somewhere. They can one day retrace the story of their father, of some of the art pieces he collected, why they're important, who the important people in his life were. It's
And it gives meaning to a lot of the people and the things that we collect, as you say.
yeah, yeah, and I don't think you can give advice to anybody on when is the right time to do something like this. But the fact that it was so fresh still in everyone's mind,
Yeah.
um, I mean, even his mom wrote a chapter, and that was hard.
Very hard.
Um, but I think she was so happy she did it. I
I'm
think
sure
it
she is
was,
now.
yes, yeah. And even when she did it, I think just to be able, because around grief, there's that people are afraid of talking, right, about the person. And only people who have been through grief know that, no, it's okay to ask, how was he? And, what do you remember? And what's your fondest memory? And when we sat with Yvette, she was so good at pulling those things out. Um, Even for the more, for his mother, for example, for whom it was so difficult. I had it was difficult, but I did it with a purpose. This book was a request I had, and I had a real purpose in doing it. So I was ready to put myself through the journey. For other people, it was also very catalyst, like a catalyst of a lot of things.
You can tell from a lot of the stories that people found it difficult, and they had a different approach to it. Some said, "I'm not talking about him in the past.
Yeah,
He's there still for me, and he will be forever." And everybody took a different approach, but I can't believe how consistent the stories are, even from different angles, which is, means they're very real.
yeah, yeah. It was.
You've this is a very private thing, and the fact that you only had the three books made always impressed me, and that because your purpose for making them was the three tributes were very specific. But I can't thank you enough for the person you are in sharing this journey. And you've said to me that, without having done this, you wouldn't have this. And you want other people to do it. And even when I went
Yeah,
to Lagos to the YPO chapter,
yeah,
I actually did a presentation called The Value of Legacy, Not
yeah.
Money, talking about legacy. And you allowed me to take the book with me and
Yes.
show it there. And it's so generous of you to do that. So I can't thank you enough.
I think I really, Roy, if what happened to me and my boys and the milestones that helped me, if I have to say what helped me the most, this book was one of the best things and the best decisions I ever did. So I really hope, if I can help other people be able to look back and say, wow, we did it, and look at that. It's something that doesn't go. We've moved houses. Our house in Lebanon was bombed, and that book stays.
Yeah.
And things, papers get lost, SMSs, disappear from your phone, um, but that stays. And it's something, especially if you want to keep the memory of that person alive
Yeah.
for generations to come, then nothing can do better than the life book, I believe.
Fabulous. Thank you. And I just finished with not because I wrote it, but because, well, actually, before that, I want to say what you just read out was the most beautifully written thing. And I know we did something for you and you chucked it out and rewrote it completely your way. And I wish, we had that quality of writing for everyone because every word in that preface that you just read out is so well thought through and so precise. Um, Respect, that's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you, Roy.
What I was just going to say is that as a kid on the back of a school exercise book, and I'm just reaching out to it here, not to the exercise book, I wrote a poem when I was 16 years old. So who writes poetry? And you find it later, and I'm not a writer. And it was very short, and it says, a lifetime is a long time, but not enough time to live. And when you think of Tony, you
Wow.
know, that
Wow. That is beautiful, Roy.
I can't believe I wrote it. But
Can't believe you found it.
well, it's on the back of a school exercise book, and it's literally actually to show that I'm not lying. This is my school exercise book.
Oh,
I was
wow.
dawdling, and I don't know, I'm spilt something. There's the original,
Wow.
and inside was lots of poetry I did for my English exam. But
That was a beautiful one.
yeah, unbelievable. Thank you, Karen.